Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I hope my team they won.
Yeah. Man.
I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won.
Yeah.
I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
All right, we taking over. Nah, it ain't Dr. Cavil. It's Kyle T here. And we got Wilt Jackson the second. What's going on, Wilt? We're taking over today. What's happening?
You know, you really gave your really good impression of Dr. Cavil. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah, hair and all, baby. Hair and all. But guys, I'm Kyle T. Mosley of HBCU Legends. I'm here to fill in for Dr. Cavil, and you have my co-host tonight, Mr. Wilton Jackson. What's going on, Wilt, man? You ready?
Yes, indeed. I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. We got a lot to talk about.
Right. Like as always, remember the days when you had a substitute teacher? You could do whatever you want. You could freestyle. You can do everything. That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have a good time doing it, and we're going to do it with some class. And guys, if you can follow us or you're looking at us on the air, please, we want to take some of your questions, and we're going to give some answers to it. We also have a special guest coming in to talk about the NFL draft, and that's Mr. Emery Hunt from Football Game Plan. If you don't know him, man, you got to know him. He's also a CS analyst for those guys as well, and he was doing everything during the draft time. So good stuff from Mr. Hunt as well. So, well, it's been a pretty active week already for HBCU, but let's start off with the ladies they're taking it, man, and they're doing a deal in the SWAC with the new arrivals or the reappearances, I should say, we got Dawn Thornton, of course. We got Margaret Richards, who has just accepted the position over at Jackson State. And Dawn Thornton, of course, she's taken over at Alabama A&M. And we can't forget Erica Leak, who is going to be over with the Golden Lions. And we just threw in Coach Gordon from last season, taking over from FAMU. Thank you very much there, Roy. It's a new day. Yes. Coach Reed is no longer here, and she is going on to UNC Charlotte. And she's got her first recruit already. I saw that on the board, and she's putting her imprint out there with the 49ers. Well, what do you think is going to happen now in the SWAC? Is it going to be a shift in balance of the powers? No longer is it going to be Jackson State, or will Coach Richards have a new team up and ready to be able to face the challenge?
You know, Cal, that question that always comes when we start talking about certain teams that have dominated for so long. That magical question always comes like, do you take this team or do you take the field? And right now, for me, it's going to be, hey, I take the field. And granted, that's a compliment to what Tamika Reed has done at Jackson State and what she was able to do. But with her gone now, it's wide open. Obviously, with you just listed the coaches that have changed from teams to teams within the SWAC, and of course, Erica Lee coming from the high school ranks and near the Memphis area. But you're talking about coaches that have had success, but not to the exact same level of success as Tamika Reed. And so now you're going to get a shift in different teams that are going to try to essentially take the power of the SWAC, right? So you have Margaret Richards at Jackson State, spent, obviously 8 seasons at Alabama A&M, didn't necessarily win a SWAC championship, whether it was the conference title or the regular season title, but she was building some success there. The coaching staff that she's bringing with her has some ties to Jackson State, but she's going to have a tough time, obviously with the portal just closing, because we know how important that portal is in terms of bringing in players. And, you got players leaving out from under Tamika Reed's regime that are graduating. Some could potentially be, going with her to Charlotte. That remains to be seen as well. So like you have to really think about, in terms of just logistics and really thinking about the timing of Richards coming in. It's going to be hard to kind of duplicate success right off the bat. That doesn't mean that it's going to be just, oh my God, Jackson State goes from, winning the SWAC multiple years to not even being in competition or being competitive. But it's hard to say right now on May 2nd that they're going to win the SWAC next year, as opposed to Tamika Reed was still in that seat. So that's on the Jackson State front. Of course,
right.
Dawn Thorne at Alabama, and we know the success she had at Arkansas Pine Bluff. She's essentially kind of starting over there with A&M. Nose Green at A&M, she's at Alabama now. She made her decision recently within the last couple of weeks, so she's starting over there. Good coach. She's going to have the time of again going after trying to take that spot that Tamika Reed held. And then also you have Erica Leak, who some people may not know, but obviously has some WNBA experience. She was taken in the draft after college. Louisiana Tech ties. If you think about Louisiana Tech, the Lady Texters and women's basketball, it's a rich history there. So she shouldn't be taken
all over the place.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So she's going to do well. She had some success in the West Memphis High School basketball program there. So it's going to be an exciting time to watch women's basketball, especially in the SWAC.
Yeah, look, man. Look, Coach Reed, phenomenal. She's done her job. She's moved on. But you have to look at what Coach Thornton has been doing this offseason. She's been recruiting some good, talented players, and she's putting it out there. She's not afraid to be able to say, hey, look what we got here. Look what we got. Of course, Coach Prime's daughter, Salome, she is now there. She left Colorado and transferred to Alabama A&M with the Bulldogs, and she's going to make her debut with the program as well. But does that mean there's going to be winning over at Alabama A&M? Does it mean that now Florida A&M has a chance to be able to take over? Or does it mean Alcorn, which played Jackson State for the championship, they have a chance to be able to become number one? All these variables really decides on how well these coaches have recruited as well.
Right. Not only how well they've recruited, but it goes back to my statement of the field is wide open. Yeah. And to your point of the recruiting, that's the second point. And then if you really look at it currently, again, where we stand right now, like with the talent that's potentially coming back to Alcorn, they do have a chance to take that spot. With Alabama A&M and Coach Thornton, Shalomi coming into the program, I don't necessarily know if that's going to equate to a major sense of like more wins right away or what have you. I do think that she's going to have success winning. I just think it's going to be a really, really tight race, as opposed to for the last, half decade, we've pretty much seen Jackson State. It's Jackson State and then everybody else.
Yeah,
that has essentially been the standard when it comes to women's basketball in the SWAC.
Well, look, I think Grambling has something to say about it. They were in the postseason tournament, right?
They were,
and
that was a team that I really liked the way that they played, and I think that they were a couple pieces away of really taking the next step into competing for a championship. And I definitely think that'll be a program in Coach Simmons and what she's been able to do to take that program to the next level. Definitely one I'll keep a close eye on next season, and for everybody to keep close eye on.
Yeah, Grambling, they're going to make their mark. Dante Jackson over in the men's side, of course, you see what he's been able to do. And, hey, it's going to be a fun time in the SWAC for the ladies this season. Guys, we want to know what you think as well. So put your questions, your thoughts down there. We're taking those. Roy is going to stream those for us, and we can be able to talk a little bit more about what's happening here in HBCU basketball. Let's talk about this, man. When you talk about Norfolk State, you got Ralph Talley. He, the legend out there, he's going to be enshrined with the small black. It's not the small black. It's the small college national Hall of Fame, and I thought that was a great honor. He's already been enshrined with the CIAA as well, but what do you think about that?
I think that's a good thing. I think it's overdue for him. You talk about someone who has had success, and he continues to create success on the court with his players. And you talk about I think sometimes, Cal, people can overestimate how hard it is to win one game, but then just to establish success countless times, day in, day night, day in and day out over season, each season or what have you. Like, it's hard to win consistently. And so for coaches that can consistently do that in not only multiple conferences, but then within their respective teams, it's credit to them and their coaching and what they've been able to do to pour into these players to fulfill the message and goals of what they're trying to bring to that program.
Definitely. Look, guys, one thing I would like to say is that I think you look at HBCU basketball, and we always talk about, hey, there's been nobody drafted in the NFL this year. Well, HBCUs, we have been shut out since what year? 2012. 2012. And there's some good talent out there as well. You saw that with Travis Williams, and as well as the HBCU All-Star game again this year. It was out in Phoenix. Did a tremendous job with a sold-out crowd at Grand Canyon University. So those are some of the things we have to be able to pay attention to. If we're going to be incensed about NFL's not taking our guys, we got to do the same thing about the NBA, because the G League is great, but come on, guys, we got to be able to put some of our talent in the NBA as well. And let's see, we got Dante Jackson just picked up a big commit in Grambling. You know anything about that one, Will?
Not right away. I would have to go back in and check, but I'm not surprised by him getting those commits. You're talking about a guy in Dante Jackson that he's had success in rebuilding and establishing that program. And I remember I had the chance to watch them during the SWAC tournament and watch their shoot around the day of the SWAC tournament. And you're talking about a team that was focused, a team that was really looking to get back to that championship game after what happened the previous year with Texas Southern. And he's a good coach. You talk about somebody that's going to make the adjustments in game, and he's gritty. And his players literally play with that same philosophy on the court that he coaches with them. And so him getting another top recruit, and then the way that they played throughout the SWAC tournament, obviously didn't get the win in the NCAA tournament, but that's a gritty team, and I think they're going to take a continual rise in SWAC for the next season.
Yeah, I know this year he's going to have to replace Moten, right? That's the key. And who's going to be your leader, your floor general? Who's going to be the one who's going to dish it, get these guys up and rolling? But other than that, I think Coach Jackson is a fine coach. And we got a contract extension out there in Texas Southern. 3 more years for Johnny Jones. Trying to
know all about that.
Yeah, man. Look, Coach Jones, he won 400, his 400th game. Think about that. Yeah. 400 wins, I think. When I did the math, only around 18 guys have gotten to that part of their career in the NCAA. And he's also notched over 100 wins over at Texas Southern. So Coach Johnny Jones and his family really love the Houston area. They're staying here, and they're committed to try to get that program up and rolling again. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and hopefully we'll have Emory Hunt ready to talk about some National Football League and the HBCU guys who did or did not. We'll find out a little bit more what his thoughts are, and we'll be back in 122 seconds. Roy, take us away, baby.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was getting my groove on, baby, back there. All right. We are back with the HBCU Sports Lab and have Wilton Jackson, but we also have Mr. Emery Hunt of Football Game Plan. My friend, what's going on, man? Good to see you, Doc.
Good to see you guys, man. Appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Oh, definitely. Well, how's it been, man? I look like you kind of was 24/7 for such a long time covering the draft.
Yeah, listen, man, it's nonstop, and you cover the draft all year when you build up to the draft, and then you quickly turn the page and get ready for 2025, which is, for me, that process starts next week when I go up to Canada to do their postseason All-Star game. They play theirs before the season, which starts their clock for the 2025 draft. So I can't wait to get started.
Oh, awesome. Well, a lot of talk has been about what had not happened as far as the HBCU guys being omitted once again since 2021 in the NFL draft. But let's talk about the good. The young men who have been selected by some of the teams, given some free agent contracts. Some have been given some invitations. Let's start with Marcus Riley. What are your thoughts about him going to the Jets?
Tremendous special teamer, speed guy, and he's going to have his work cut out for him. But you like that the Jets made that commitment to him financially, which lets you know they have a plan for him. Because you look at what he does and look at what they did last year with a guy in Xavier Gibson, they kind of do the same thing. So it'll be interesting to see what the plan is for him and what he brings to the table within that offense, because we know special teams is going to be one way he could have an impact, but I'm interested to see how he does within the regular offense.
Yeah, they gave the 3-year commitment to him as well as $2.8 million. So that's a good commitment there. Let's talk about Isaiah Major. Now, we couldn't get from the Saints if he's going to be at their rookie camp or is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. What are you hearing?
I have no idea who that is. So you
FAMU, from the linebacker.
Okay. So I haven't heard anything. And here's the thing: when people tell you that they've heard some things, you better be sure that they're just not giving you lip service. So what I do like about the linebacker Major is that he is an old school thumper. He's an in the box guy. Can play downhill. What I saw him do at the HBCU Legacy Bowl was very impressive. And you may find a situation where you say linebacker is kind of the position has changed, which it has. But if I were advising him, I feel like Kansas City would be a very good option considering what they lost in the offseason. Right. Might have a better chance to make that roster as opposed to the New Orleans Saints. So for me, that's the biggest thing when you're talking about undrafted free agents, which is why some people say, I'd rather be undrafted than getting drafted. You kind of want to hear your name called. You want that security of being drafted. But as an undrafted free agent, you get to really analyze the depth charts and see where's the best opportunity for me to go and try to make the team. Because it's not only about getting your name called. That's cool. That's fun. but it's about staying in the league and finding the best situation gives you the best opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And I know when you look at some of these young guys and these guys having the opportunity to go to camps and that's great and everything else, just like what M says, how's it going to help their careers?
I mean, it's going to help their careers tremendously in a way due to the fact that had they not gotten these calls for an undrafted free agent deal or a minicamp invite, they don't have anything. And so one thing I always kind of like to live my life, and I think we can all attest to this, is that sometimes you really do just need an opportunity. Might not always be a big opportunity, but when you get one, you take advantage of it. And so for in the case of somebody like Isaiah Major, to what M said, if your opportunity, if the best opportunity may not necessarily align with the Saints, it could happen with the Chiefs. You just never know. And so again, to your point, M, yeah, I didn't get my name called, but it's not the end of my journey, especially if I'm dedicated and I'm really rooted in what I say that I really want to do. If I'm going to continue to put in the work, and I've been playing football since 8-9 years old, and this is my dream, I got to continue doing it. If this is what I really want to do.
And to build on that, it's fascinating to watch. Like to get to the pros, even if you're getting this mini camp invite, I mean that's 1% of the 1%. So be graceful, be thankful, embrace it. It's a dream come true just to even put on an NFL helmet. But the mindset to be an NFL player has to start when you're in high school, and you have to really train that way throughout college. You can't just try to get it all in your last season in the postseason All-Star game circuit. It has to be everything about you should be already tailored toward the pro game, how you eat, how you sleep, how you work out, how you train. And I think that's something that I wish more student athletes understood going through the process.
Yeah, definitely. There was because I covered the Saints, right? When you have a guy like Spencer Rattler and Ian Rappaport went on the air and said a lot of the general managers and some of the scouts execs were kind of shying away from him because of that QB1 program when he was in high school. And you just spoke about the preparation starts around that time from high school through college and before they even get to the pros.
And again, some of these GMs could be just giving lip service. I'm not going to call Rappaport a liar or whatnot, because that does sound like something a GM or high-level scouts would say, something benign like that. Can he play? Can he play or can he play? I'm not going to knock a kid at 17 for being on a reality TV show and clearly having talked to him at the combine or at South Carolina or during the interview process. You see that he is completely different than that 17-year-old kid that we saw clips of in a Netflix special, right? So that's just dumb scouting, in my opinion. And so what I was basically saying is that the work ethic has to be you got to be pro with your work ethic. A lot of times I'll see guys try to do right by the All-Star game circuit and lead up to their pro day. It's too late. Like you really have to be, it has to be a habit, and that habit starts very early.
All right, good stuff. Let's talk about Jerry Musa, national champion, as well as Davius Richard, national champion. It's been kind of quiet for Davius at this time, and I understand from his agent that there's been some nibbles out there, but Musa gets an invite to the Bucks. What can he learn at that camp?
And this is hard because if you've ever been to one of these rookie mini camps, there's no pads. You really have 2 days to make an impact, in some cases a day, because your first day is onboarding, second day is practice, third day you're doing meetings and probably a little bit of walkthroughs. It's closed off to the media. So the media really only gets that 1 day of practice, maybe 2. Some teams may get 2 days in, but it's hard for these guys to really leave an impact, especially if you're there on a tryout. So Musa, he has to do something extraordinary to really get the undrafted free agent contract signed, so therefore he can then go to training camp or rookie mini camp, OTA, stuff like that. Because man, I can only imagine the amount of stress these guys are going to be under that are on tryouts, where you have 90 guys there and you got to do something to shine. And if you're an O lineman or D lineman, it like what can you do with no pads on to stand out, right? Or if you're a receiver, you're probably a receiver, 46 in that on that roster, or at least let's say 17 to be realistic. And you may only get, I've seen this before. I was at Giants camp. This was Giants mini camp, rookie mini camp. This was maybe like 3 years ago, for whatever it was during Dalen Baldwin's rookie year. And remember, he was at Jackson State, transferred, then went to Michigan. So I remember he was at Giants rookie mini camp, and he was, there was like 15 or so receivers out there. He got 1 rep, 2 reps, and 1 pass thrown his way, which was overthrown. So imagine if that's your from a media viewing, that's your rookie mini camp. Now, thankfully, he signed on with the Browns and ended up getting the active roster and playing and all that stuff like that. But imagine being a guy just there, and those are your 2 reps, right? And you've been at practice all day, and these are the reps you get. So it's tough. Rookie mini camps are tough for guys that are not signed as undrafted free agents, but are on a rookie tryout base. So to a long-winded way to say, Jeremy Musa has his work cut out for him in that regard.
Yeah. Well, look, one guy that I thought had a real chance was the young man from Howard, the offensive tackle, Anqua. And I know he's going over to the Eagles. What's your thoughts about him?
I called their spring game. So going into the season, I was excited about Howard. And it's funny how you didn't want to take too much from a spring game, but I was like, man, this team looks really good. And they end up getting to the Celebration Bowl. So it shows you what they look like in the spring. But then you see him go through the season, and you see him, have his ups and downs. He has a tremendous size you talked about. But I thought that he needed a little bit more work, a little bit more fine tuning, has to be better in that aspect. You also saw him 2 nights ago get drafted by the Toronto Argonauts, because in the CFL drafts, because he has dual citizenship. So that may be another opportunity for him to go up there. And I thought what happened at the Shrine Bowl, you kind of saw a guy that still was a work in progress. And we know the NFL has the luxury of just scraping off the top. They want finished products, and they choose to pick guys that, okay, we could work with this guy, develop this guy. And the Eagles have done that by bringing him into their camp, but he also has options. He can go up to Toronto and start there, then fine-tune things, and then work his way back into the States. We've seen a lot of guys do that, bounce back and forth between both leagues. But, I thought, the upside is there. He's still a neophyte in terms of playing a game, so he has room to grow. It's just the NFL is just not about development. It's just sad to say they have the luxury of being that way.
Yeah. Emory, what about these particular guys? Well, specifically one, when you talk about the opportunity for someone like Willie Drew, who was pretty high on some particular draft boards coming from the HBCU ranks.
Yeah, it was interesting about him. I thought he had the best chance of getting drafted because he was someone that really went through the process. I mean, he was at the Senior Bowl, played really well, had an up and down week, but got better as the week went on, went to the combine, ran well. And you thought he was going to get drafted, but just that's how crazy it is to really predict the draft. Who would have thought 15, 14 players on offense would go in a row, and your first defensive player would be the 15th pick? Right. So it's weird. You can't really predict it. I think he's going to have a great opportunity to make a team because he has shown that he can play, at the level of NFL competition by what he did at the Senior Bowl.
Right. Yeah. And I know a lot of people were kind of incensed that the Gremlins, Kenyatta, Anderson did not go, and then Jarvin Howard did not go as well from Alcar. What are your thoughts about those guys? I think they landed in some pretty good situations, in my opinion.
Well, that's the most important thing. Howard had a really good HBCU Legacy Bowl combine. He was only at the practices for one day before he shut it down, but he got a good opportunity, and that's all you want. Anderson, I thought, had the athletic traits, and you thought that would be something that scouts would want to see. But again, when you're at the NFL level, you have the luxury of saying, hey, well, we don't have time to develop you, and that's why I feel like the focus needs to be on the UFL in terms of this is where guys can go and get their reps in. This is where they can smooth out their game against pro players, because we know the NFL is fickle. We know the NFL tends to scrape off the top. And that's why I feel like the support has to be behind the spring league, because if we can get a sustained spring league, this is where these guys can go get pro tape and then jump back into the NFL level and then get them seen and get a better chance of making and sustaining a career at the pro level.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Emory, thank you so much, man. And tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web.
Follow me on Twitter at FBallGamePlan and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/footballgameplan. But go pick up the draft guide, the 2024 draft guide. We have scout reports on a lot of these guys. Over 900 players, individual scouting reports is the largest draft guide out there at footballgameplan.com/2024 draft guide.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you. Thanks for enlightening us on the NFL draft for the HBCU guy.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care. That's Emory Hunt, and we will be back in 2 and 2. Thank you.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm.
Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
When it
Compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
All right, you got the substitutes here. Kyle T. Mosley, of course, of HBCU Legends, and that's Mr. Wilton Jackson II. Well, man, that was good stuff from Emory. What's your thoughts?
Oh no, I thought it was really spot on. A lot of the players that he broke down, I had similar thoughts about them as well. And just the fact that like it is truly hard to make an NFL team. One thing to make the team, even before that, to get your name called and get drafted. But I like something that he said that I've just been thinking about a lot more, is the fact that like sometimes it's better to get an opportunity versus going to what you think might be the perfect opportunity just because you got your name called in the NFL draft. But something I was thinking about too, and I was talking about this on the show earlier today with HBCU Game Day, we were just talking about like, you know, and Emory kind of hit a point on this as well in terms of thinking about how these postseason bowl games are offered to HBCU players, and are they being adequately prepared for these opportunities? And to Emery's point, when he was saying that when you want to go to the next level, does it start right after that season? Does it start in your 4 years of college, or 5 years, or 6 years? Does it really go back to high school? And then even if you do have the proper molding from high school to college, are the HBCU players at these programs being groomed, like literally groomed for what these NFL teams are wanting at these combines? If you get what I'm saying.
You know, that's a great question. We talked about that on Ralph Cooper's show a few months ago, because look, I saw a difference in how this set of HBCU guys for the combine was more prepared.
Mm-hmm.
The first year, it was rough to see how those guys went through some of the drills, or didn't even have a chance to go through the drills properly, because
right.
Sometimes the NFL coaches who are doing those drills, if you're not getting it right away, come on, let's go to the next guy. Let's go to the next guy. Right. And you saw that with the young man from Howard when he was at the NFL scouting combine, and the footwork wasn't there. And that's what struck me as odd. It's like, man, I thought, having a soccer background, coming from Ghana, I know he went to school in Canada, but I thought he was going to have a little bit better footwork. And, when you're a offensive tackle, you have to have dancing feet. Exactly. You have to be able to get with those rushers that's coming at you, but you have to be able to move into that pocket, move around that pocket. So, those are good tidbits. But also, here's a question, and I'm posing this question to you guys. Do you think the HBCU coaches are adequately preparing them for the future? What's your thoughts? Let's see what your comments are. Do you think the HBCU coaches are preparing the players to play at the next level? Yes, no, maybe so. Oh, Kyle, you just off your rocker. Those are just some of the things we need to think about. Look, Mickey Victor, the young man from Alabama State, he's going to the Patriots. And the running back, Wheeler from Howard, he's going to Chicago.
Yeah.
So my question is, man, and I still have to ask this question, even though we have 8 general managers who are Black and we have 6 coaches that are Black, why none? You went through a lot of rounds and 250 plus players were chosen. Not one could have been chosen. I still take issue to that. But why haven't we heard from the commissioners yet? We still haven't heard from any of the commissioners about what's going on. What's your thoughts?
Kyle, I think this is a real complex issue to a degree, but I think at the root of it, you start talking about NFL teams and player personnel in regards to these teams. It comes down to scouting. Like, and I know you mentioned this in your articles. I read it. I thought it was spot on in a lot of ways. That once you, or essentially this, after Doug Williams and James Sheck Harris, in terms of putting on, say, for example, like the HBCU Legacy Bowl, those can't be your only advocates for HBCU players. And I'm not saying that it is, because it's right. But what I'm saying is you need more of them to advocate for these players too. But it has to start a lot sooner than say, hey, it's the end of the season. The HBCU Legacy Bowl is 3 months away after the end of the season. Let's start, plugging this and putting the advertising out there for these particular postseason events. It has to start almost literally what Emery said. He's going to Canada in a week or so to start out, to do some scouting for the players that play in that particular league. Like, this has to start early. But I think the other point of that too is that within these NFL teams and the scouting departments, those scouts have to feel confident enough and to be able to say, you know what, here's a player from an HBCU that is good, maybe still a little rough around the edges in some cases, but still be strong enough to stand up and say, you know what, we should use a draft pick on this particular player. Because here's the thing, how many times have we seen from some of these mid-major programs players from mid-major programs that have come in and don't always necessarily pan out? And what we also know too is that beyond the first, second, and third rounds of the NFL draft, what you really are going to get in the draft, the really, really important rounds, are those 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Those gems that you're going to get that's going to make up the bulk of your team. So you mean to tell me that there's not one single HBCU player of the other than what, 2022, where we had 4? It was 4 in 2022, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you mean to tell me there is not one single player that could have suited up for an NFL team and got a tackle through a pass, got a pancake, did anything?
Yeah. Well, you see the deal that Marcus Rowley got. That's proof that they could have used a 7th round pick on. You see the deal that the young man from Jackson State got, that he's going to with the Chargers, I think. That's proof that there's a possibility. Last season, even when Mark Evans, who many thought he was at the NFL Combine as well, he had a chance to be drafted. He's with the Saints, and he got a nice little sign-on bonus. He, as well as Shaq Davis, who's now with the Eagles. But those guys sat on the practice squad. They learned. They had to cultivate their skills, and Mark Evans feels very good that he's going to challenge for a position this year with the New Orleans Saints. And kudos to you, young man. I hope you do very well. So those are things that I kind of wonder, can we do a better job somewhere within our own ranks before we start knocking on the doors or having the picket signs say, oh, down with the NFL? Mm-hmm. What about what can we do to get better resources, better understanding what's necessary for our players to be able to get to the next level? Years ago, abundance of talent, just like we still have abundance of talent here, but the talent back then is being cherry-picked by those big Power 5, no, not even Power 5 any longer, what, Power 4 conferences now, right? Yeah. So those are things that I still believe we can be able to overcome and break through. Let's talk about some baseball before we get on off here. Roy, can you bring that up for us? Talk about the top guys in the, I guess, the large schools. What's the top 10 guys there, Roy? Okay. So for the large schools, we got Florida A&M, Bethune-Cookman, North Carolina A&T, Alabama State, Jackson State, Texas Southern, Grambling, Prairie View, Southern, and Delaware State. Thank you. FAMU, man, and Bethune-Cookman, it's going to be hot this weekend, man. They got a 3-game series. Talk about that one. I mean, those guys are battling neck and neck in the SWAC.
They are. I mean, you talk about this we could be potentially setting up a rematch of what we saw in the SWAC tournament, SWAC baseball tournament last year in the championship game. And of course, we know FAMU edged out Bethune-Cookman in that particular capacity. But these are two teams that dominated in the MEAC. You're talking about, I want to say, I can't remember which one has more than the other, but they were dominated in the MEAC in previous years before coming over to the SWAC, and they brought that dominance over into the SWAC. You're talking about a coach with FAMU and Jamie Shoup, his 11th season with the Rattlers and what he's been able to do. And, recently we had Coach Hernandez on from Bethune-Cookman, and he just talked about, honestly, at this time of the year, it's not even about, planning and of course you have to plan for each game, but it's not so much about all of the, X's and O's, what pitchers are going to pitch this way, or, getting outs and things like that. It's just more so who's going to be able to withstand the storm and really get the wins when it matters the most at the the craziest part of the season. And this is where you find out which teams are gonna elevate their level of play to potentially compete for a SWAC championship. And you're talking about a FAMU team that they have Bethune-Cookman this weekend. Then they have a series against Alabama State coming up still, Mississippi Valley. Then, of course, they have a weekday matchup with North Florida in between one of those series as well. Then you have Bethune-Cookman. You got the series, of course, against FAMU. They got Stetson. Still have to play Jackson State, UCF, and Alabama State. Alabama State is a dangerous team when it comes to the SWAC East, and that's somebody else.
They won, 2 years ago, right?
Exactly. Coach Jose Vasquez always puts together a competitive team. I don't see anything different this year. They have a pretty tough schedule as well. going up against Alabama A&M this weekend. Of course, they have South Alabama, Florida A&M, UAB, and Bethune-Cookman to end the season.
Wow, that's a gauntlet.
Yeah.
Wow, man, and Grambling.
Right.
That young man can hit some balls. I forgot his name, but he's like a home run king out there, man. He's doing a great job over at Grambling, and we shall see how everything translates out on the field coming up. We're going to take a quick break before we wrap up this show. Man, it's gone by so fast. Yes. And I think Dr. Cavil must have done something, tweaked the time warp or something like that. He said, let's get Kyle off this as fast as possible. So, Roy, bring us back in 2 and 2, baby.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
All right, listen to the professor. He will always teach you a lesson. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Charles and Mike will be back next week. If we let them back into the building, they keep knocking on the door back here, but I don't know. We made that. You know.
They're going to be mad at you, Kyle.
Somebody's always mad at That's not a problem. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the show thus far. And we're trying to bring you guys some great information. I think the CIAA and SRAC had their meets for their track championship last weekend, right? And I know the SWAC and the MEAC should be going this weekend. So that'll be pretty good. Let's see. We got Coach Simmons Presents. Go back to that one, Roy. Let's see. Is it better to be an undrafted free agent instead of a 7th rounder? Well, that's a good question. Undrafted free agents, then you get calls coming into you. You get to decide which team that you would like to possibly sign on with. And sometimes your agent can be able to negotiate a signing bonus as a result. With the 7th rounder, you are committed to that team, and that only that team you can work with. But it also secures you minor spot throughout the rookie camps and mini camps and everything else. Usually when a team invests a pick, they usually do not just get rid of it as soon as possible. So most of the times, that's why you'll find all of the picks in camp, especially training camp, versus not being there at all. Like a rookie could just come to the camp, go through tryouts, never get a contract extended to them. So that's why it's better to be a pick. Let's see. I think
He's better to go undrafted free agent, but at the same time, I imagine there's something about getting your name called on draft day, especially from the optics perspective on HBCUs.
Yeah. And right now, and that's one thing that I had to ask this question to you. Well, you saw Eric Allen from Tennessee State, the Buck Buchanan Award winner from 2023. He announced that he is officially transferring from Tennessee State, and he did it right after the draft.
Right.
And he said it's a business decision. So is that a way of, I know this is speculation, but is that a way for him to say it's because of what happened with the HBCUers this draft? I don't want it to happen to me.
I think on one hand, you know, you can look at that and make the speculation, but I'm one to try to not make speculations on things. But like I said, it could very well be that. But I would like to think that a player of his caliber, you know, obviously recent award winner, he could potentially just want to ensure what his future could potentially look like at the next level by going to another institution. Would he have some of the same opportunities by staying at Tennessee State if he had another dominant year? We don't necessarily know that. We know that if he has similar stats to what he did at Tennessee State this past year, in this upcoming year, if he would have stayed at Tennessee State, it's likely he could have repeated at the, you know, for that particular award, or he would have, raised his stock from that particular regard. Because what we do know is that FCS players do get drafted in the NFL draft. But in his particular case, he may have looked at it and said, you know what, to ensure a little bit more security and potentially getting one of those spots, whether it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th round, let me take my chances and bet on myself.
Yeah, you could bet on yourself, but sometimes what if that bet is wrong and you go to a place where they don't value you as much as Eddie George and his guys would have valued you as well. And good luck, young man.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
I want him to do as well as possible. He led the FCS in sacks at 14.5, as well as he led the FCS in tackles for losses as well. So congratulations to him. He may be at an HBCU, but he plays in a PWI conference, Ohio Valley, as well as the Big South, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So that combination of those two conferences. All right, guys, let's see here. When it comes to what's going to happen this coming season, off season especially, you're going to have the media days, you're going to have basketball media days, you're going to have these football media days and everything else. There's no real big controversy, in my opinion, that's happening right now. Other than we saw Tamika Reed leave. I just want to see somebody talk some trash a little bit. I think Dawn Thornton would be great for that, in my opinion. If you're listening to me, Coach, come on, bring some trash talk out there, because I think she's putting together something that's going to be kind of groundbreaking for those guys over with the Bulldogs. What's your thoughts?
I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be trash talk, but I can guarantee she's going to bring the heat. And you know she's going to bring the heat with her players on the court and those outfits that she's going to change into at halftime of games, because she put on a show during the SWAC tournament in terms of changing those outfits or what have you. But I'm excited to see what she's going to do in the program that she's going to put together there. You know, and like I said, I still think right now it's an open field. But if there was a chance, specifically more so within that SWAC East, because now she's coming from Arkansas Pine Bluff, which was in the West, and coming to Alabama A&M, which is in the SWAC East, like it's gonna be wide open to see between them, Alcorn, and definitely FAMU are teams that are gonna stand out really quick right off the bat before a game is played.
All right, let's rattle some of these rattlers right now. You guys are not gonna make the Celebration Bowl. Mosley said, no. Yeah, I can see them coming for me now.
Yeah.
What's your thought? You think the Rattlers can repeat with Coach Colsey?
Well, I like Coach Cozy. I think that he has his work cut out for him, but I like his standard and what he means for their program. Obviously it's not going to be the same as things have been in previous years, but there's a certain level of standard that's still going to be at FAMU. To your point, Rattlers don't come for me all at once. I don't necessarily say on May 2nd that they're going to be a shoe foot in for the Celebration Bowl. If anything, I think that on paper right now, I think Alabama State might be a favorite. Of course, Jackson State doesn't go away from that either. So it's wide open in the East right now.
Andrew Body, man, you
know a lot about
that gift with Anthony Anderson's crying on the couch. I was like that when Andrew Body left. Texas Southern. I was like, oh man, I was so sad that he left. But he's with Eddie Robinson Jr. Coach Robinson was just beaming when I asked him at the Legacy Bowl, how you feel about Body? That's the smile said it all, baby.
You talk about an Alabama State team. Obviously, they've had quarterbacks that have worked in his system, but you're talking about if Body is able to be the transformational and healthy athlete that he can be, that most of us thought that he was going to be able to showcase that at Texas Southern. This could potentially take Alabama State to a whole new level.
Yeah, look, the thing is, man, Body is the most senior quarterback in the SWAC. And he's been the most senior quarterback, even though Musa was there last year. He was more senior than Musa. Think about that, guys. As far as being in the SWAC play, guys, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So Andrew Body and the Hornets, we'll see if they're ready to sting up the opponents in the East. But I think Coach T.C. Taylor has something to say about it. Look,
even
Bethune-Cookman. That's what I was about to say.
They had a really strong recruiting class.
Now, I'm going to tell you a shocker coming out of the West. What if the Golden Lions get it together?
I'm gonna be honest. I really, really like Alonzo Hampton's energy. If he can bring that energy and bring it out of his players, the same energy that he has, that would be a very dangerous Arkansas Pine Bluff team. But of course, he doesn't play the games; his players does. So we'll have to see what happens in this next season for him. Within the program.
I saw what they did to Texas Southern firsthand. I was right there in the stadium.
Yeah,
it wasn't pretty at the end, baby. And you got to think about Southern with Terrence Graves. He's taking over, and you got Mika Joseph over at Grambling taking over new. But I think Bubba McDowell said, "Hey, I'm still the king of the West right now." So he's still the king, and Chris Dishman, his old buddy down in H-Town, wants to knock him off the perch right now. So I think right now it's going to be a fun time. We're going to have a little bit more parity in the SWAC as well when it comes to football. All right, guys, we are closing out the show. Any last thoughts, comments, notes? No, you good?
I think I'm good on my end, Kyle.
All right, tell everybody how they can find you on the World Wide Web there, Wilt.
For those who don't know me, Wilton Jackson. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at Wilton Reports and on Instagram at Wilton Reports as well.
All right. And you can always find me, Kyle T. Mosley, at HBCU Legends, or you can find me at KTMOZE on Twitter as well. Guys, when you're a substitute teacher, you just throw the teacher's notes out the window. You don't care what happens. You just do whatever you want to do. And we did what we wanted to do. But I hope you guys had a great show. Thank you, Emery Hunt, for everything that you've done and what you've been able to give to us and enlighten us on the whole process. All right. Any last thoughts, hearts need to be satisfied at this time? Are you good?
I am good.
All right. Now everybody's good. All right, Roy, start us off, baby.
Of course.
Lecture.
Dismissed. Thank you.